Welcome to the Own Your Best Life podcast. I'm May Emson, your host, leadership and mindset coach. Here, we talk all things spiritual, mindset, business, leadership, and wellness for the modern seeker who wants to align their life with purpose and inspiration. We'll cover career changes, stress management, meditation, energy, intuition, and more. Each episode holds spiritual and practical tools to help you live a life of your wildest dreams without getting burnt out along the way. Ready to live a life on your own terms? This is the Own Your Best Life podcast. Welcome to episode number 214 of the Own Your Best Life podcast. As we get more advanced in our careers and our lives, there's often a feeling of not wanting to give up everything you've worked so hard for in the process of making any kind of change. You might have found yourself in a new role, or you're promoted and you're wondering, is this what you really want? Or maybe you have thoughts of making a change to your life, your career, your relationships, and you're worried that this is rocking the boat too much. Either way, the thought of change can feel scary, and we wonder what lies ahead if we make this next move. So today's podcast is on seeing change as a transition and asking ourselves, what if this was just the beginning? As we evolve in our lives and careers, we often make bigger and bigger decisions that involve more and more people or have more and more at stake. And it is normal to start to worry if this next decision is going to be the one that takes us too far off the beaten path. And we wonder if we change something about ourselves or our relationships, whether or not we will regret the choices that we made. And as time goes on, we feel even more committed to our current paths. And when we're younger, we often feel like we're at the beginning. We're at the beginning of our careers. We're at the beginning of our lives. So indecision, change is par for the course, and deciding what to study, where to go to school just seems like the first step. It doesn't seem like the last. Yet as we age, we don't feel like we have as much wiggle room. What do you do when you've been working on a career path for 10, 15, 20 years already? How do you stay engaged or as interested? What do you do about the idea that you are of a certain age? What do you even envision if you feel like you're going to be at the end of a path soon? And I remember, even as I was considering making a change to my career after business school, years after business school, wondering why I had a hard time making the switch from strategy work to another career, I knew there was something else for me. I knew this, but I thought starting over was also scary. I also didn't know what was next. I didn't know what my gifts were. I just knew that I wasn't fully utilizing them. And even though I was working, I had a good job, it felt like I was hiding. And when you're fully committed to work that you believe is your gift, your calling, you don't feel like you're hiding. You feel like you're expressing, learning, growing, sharpening, becoming better at your craft. When you feel like your life is growing and is changing in ways that transform you, you don't feel like you're hiding. Change feels like a fresh start, a challenge that you can handle, not the end of your life. And often we consider that the change is a loss of a life we had before. And instead of realizing this one shift that I'm going to offer you today, what if this was just the beginning? What if this was just the beginning? When we want something and we wonder, why is it not here in our life yet? It's often because we haven't made space for it. We think about the people we want in our lives. We think about the work we want in our lives. We think about the feeling, the freedom, the spaciousness, the expansion. And we haven't made space for it yet. Thoughts are energy. Our ideas are energy, and they need space for them to move to. The endings or things that didn't work out, they're making space for something else to come through. Yet, if you are lamenting the loss instead of moving with it, and seeing what comes next, you may never know. You may never know what can come through. You may never know what this is the new beginning of. How do we make space for all of this if you're not actually moving on? Yet many of us will never get to feel that sense of release, that sense of freedom that comes with making decisions that allow us to move with life into the next change. We find then that sometimes the universe will do for us what we cannot do for ourselves. We lose our jobs, we lose our relationships, we lose money, we lose time. Things just don't work out, all to make space for something else. And nothing has gone wrong. Nothing has gone wrong. But we are facing this tension of, I want something, I think something, I'm kind of on this edge of something, and I'm not seeing it here yet. And often if we are constantly at that edge and we never make space, something will happen, and it might be undesirable or feel undesirable at the time, that opens this up for you. That's what ended up happening for me. As I made my career shift, it was deaths that occurred that suddenly made me realize, well, you're not hanging on to this person's ideas of what you want life to be like anymore, so you now have to go live it. Or time is short, and we have only now to make these moves. Let's hurry up and do this. Why are we waiting? Or even just this idea that something isn't working out, and as soon as you let it go, have you ever felt that feeling of, okay, I finally made a decision about something, and all that energy moves into moving into the next thing instead of mulling about doing the old ways and using that energy in other unproductive ways? We notice. And the difference is whether you will make a change because you notice it, or whether you will wait for life to make the change for you. And again, no good or bad, but different lessons that we are learning. And so how do you actually make space, even if you are uncertain about what's next? How do you figure out your next thing and what your gifts are, or where you want to take your life in ways that don't feel like you're just preparing for the end of life right now? So in my coaching with my clients, I'll work with them on a 5-step process that helps them see not just the goal, which can often be unclear as well and takes work to get there, but also who they want to become as a person, the beliefs they need to have, and the process they need to get there. This helps them make what's fuzzy become even more clear, and then the vision starts to take shape. And as soon as that vision starts to come into more and more clarity, it helps them understand the reasons why they want to pursue this path or make this change. And it's so important, yet often overlooked, to understand what are the best reasons for going after that next thing. Our brains tend to question anything that isn't certain or already known. So often we do not pursue things, not because they're not a great next step, but because they're new or different. Notice this about yourself. This is why people who have grown up with wealth find it easier to make money. It's not as new or different. People who have seen what hard work is like through their families find it easier to be disciplined, to stay committed. It's not new or different. Yet no matter what your path or your context has been previously, your edge, your growth will likely be in doing things that are new and different for you. And so this is why the coaching work helps you make that next move. Matter of fact, it makes it simple, not complex or strange. We normalize what you want. We normalize what a new kind of life or definition of success looks like in your life. We normalize thinking about investing into your future, your health, your relationships. We normalize wealth creation, feelings of abundance, of enoughness, of just having more than enough time, energy, thoughts, feelings. We make strength, courage, discipline, joy the baseline of life. And as a result, we bring that energy and we bring that thinking into our next phase of life. And instead of thinking that if you're over 30 or if you're over 40, that you're only preparing for retirement or you're preparing for death and you're focused solely on your kids and other people around you, you think about how much energy and wisdom you can bring into life. You're going to live like you're dying, not because of your age, but because of your energy and how much you have to offer. The reason why this matters is because when you're at the beginning of a next phase, you have options. You have the options to regret, to lament, to stay stuck in the past, remembering the times when you didn't do what life asked or needed from you, or thinking about your failures more than your learnings and growth. Only pursuing the goals of your children, not your own, and living their lives and not yours. In those moments, you can stay there. You can stay in the past, you can stay in other people's lives, in their business, and keep making it your present, making it your business. Or you have the next option, the one that's available for everyone. And I will promise you, you have not had more failures and more disappointments than someone else who has been even more quote unquote successful in the ways that you want to be. And so those people who you deem as successful, who you're like, I wish I could figure this out like they have for them, they do not have any less sorrows. They do not have any less failures, disappointments, moments where they could go back and say, I would have done this differently now, or I could have done this differently, or I didn't show up the way I wanted to, or this didn't work out for me, or I'm so sad that this had occurred. Those exist in everyone's lives, and yet the difference that makes a difference is what happens as a result of those things and where you are moving forward and how you're thinking maybe this is just the beginning instead of this is the end. And the next option, you have that other option, moving forward with the current of change. Having a life with as much creative energy now as you did when you were younger. I have been surrounded by water in the last several weeks and just watching the water move. And there is a visualization that you often do during meditation, which is watching your thoughts move as if they were leaves in water just passing by. And that's such a great analogy for life and for realizing that so many of the things that we think are so fixed, this one thing that we're doing, this one project, this event, this way of working, this job, this relationship, instead of seeing it as it could just be floating by, and then the next one comes, and then the next one comes, we think of it, we grab into it, we wander, and we jump into the water, and we try to hold on to all of the stuff, and it just bogs us down instead of saying, okay, what if I'm seeing this person as new again? What if I'm seeing this relationship as new again? What if I'm seeing this decision that I made as a new decision again? Constantly choosing to love, constantly choosing to be in relationship with someone, constantly choosing this job, this path, this calling, this next thing, this way of working, the way that your business is moving, the way that you're attending to things. So who and the how that you're showing up as every single day. It is not as fixed as we believe it is. And that is what I am offering to you today as a shift in thinking. Life is always moving. And if we move with the new beginnings that are always underway, we can start to see the excitement, the growth, the openings as space for all the things that we've dreamed of to come into our life, to trust our wisdom, to understand ourselves even more, to have that emotional resilience and the confidence that we have been longing for without as much friction or effort or struggle or feeling like you have to move mountains to make this all happen. And that's why you stop overworking and that self-doubt goes down and that sense of dis-ease also starts to abate. And instead, we keep finding that real life is better than we could have imagined as long as we stay present. And this is what's available. This is available to you, to me, to everyone else around you. These two paths. And every single day you have so many ways to go about doing life. One path where you're staying in the past, resisting the change, speaking more of what was in the past, than of what's currently present in your life now. And changing, noticing what's changing for you right now. I notice this. I notice that there are people who talk a lot about the past only and mostly. Or you can talk about and think about or move into the second path where you see life as a series of beginnings and you have a vision that you're living into day after day, using the same energy to lead into what's next, creating that next step for yourself instead of stressing about what's not happening. The second path is that of the spiritual achiever, taking steps into what feels like the unknown, but really is just something that you get to create day after day. And then it becomes known. And then they stop hiding. And then the investing into your growth, into your evolution is something that you normalize. That is the second path. And if you'd like to become, and if you are a spiritual achiever, I invite you to watch the free training. You can go to mayemson.com/214 and check out the show notes and apply to join the Spiritual Achiever Coaching Program, where you're going to create this next chapter with spiritual and high performance strategies to achieve time, financial, and mental and emotional freedom using my proven method. It is risk-free. You either start seeing results within your first month, or I give you your money back, and you can schedule your call here at mayemson.com/contact. We will see you on the inside. And that's it, my friends, for this week, and I'll talk to you next time. Thanks so much for joining us this week on Own Your Best Life. Make sure to subscribe to the show on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts so that you'll never miss a show. And while you're at it, can you please rate and review on iTunes? I would so appreciate it. Share it with a friend, take a screenshot of it, and tag @MayEmson. This helps continue to get the word out. For more show notes and resources, check out www.mayemson.com. You'll have all the links to everything you heard here today. Thanks so much for listening. It's time to own your best life.